Holy, holy, holy. The brilliance of the light of God is within you. And in this moment, the journey of remembering is all that there truly is. Even the journey of remembering is a temporary journey, and yet essential. To break free, to break through the veil of separation that has been believed in and has been accepted as real. As the veil of separation is relinquished, the light of your awareness becomes brighter and brighter, stronger and stronger. The clarity of truth begins to live in your heart. And the nightmares of the past fade away as the truth brightens. This is the journey of love. Every beloved will walk this journey. And it is guaranteed that every beloved will remember and return into the wholeness of one heart. The journey by choice can be delayed, can be avoided for a while. But eventually, everyone will remember. In this moment, it's a journey of dedication, of devotion, of trust, of faith, of courage. Courage is not really needed, except that a nightmare is being believed in. And when there is a belief of separation, the courage of turning toward light, of turning toward truth, is called for. To no longer be willing to join in the lie that humanity holds, the mistaken identity of pain and suffering. Is waiting to be released and to be surrendered. Every beloved must choose to remember. No one can choose for you. No one can even convince you. There is a yes within your heart that leads the way. In this moment, finding the devotion of love within the heart, trusting that that devotion is present, the willingness to find that devotion, to accept that devotion, to love, and the willingness to find the devotion to humanity. To join in the divine service of remembering, and to surrender all of the attempts that have been held so deeply to protect and defend and get the personal rewards within time that are not really rewards at all, but are disguised. The disguise of the payoff, of getting, of winning, of proving. In the yes of love, these false disguises, these false rewards will be exposed. Exposed for what they are, a ruse, the belief in payoff, as if something is missing, as if you are without, as if your beliefs, your thoughts are correct. Love is calling. God is calling. Calling you to remember, to return to the heart, to the power of love, to the light that is waiting within to be remembered and met with great jubilation. The willingness to accept. In gratitude that you were mistaken for the first time in all the lifetimes that you have walked on this earth. To embrace with happiness that you were mistaken, that you weren't right. The joy of being mistaken about this false identity is truly the joy of salvation. Happily accepting. Everything I thought I knew was made up. Every element of self-concept that I held on to so strongly was made of. And the acceptance that the light has never changed. Love has never altered. And your true, exquisite, divine self has always been intact, unchanged, unchangeable, perfect. Day by day, moment by moment, trusting deeper and deeper that only love is real. Day by day, moment by moment, surrendering the lies of the past, the lies of a separate identity, and joyfully asking the question, what am I? Show me the way. And dissolve all these rules that I've made up. Gladly surrendering and opening to the laws of love, the laws of God. That everything is always in harmony and peace beneath the turmoil of the severed mind. Love is waiting, patiently waiting to be met, to be invited, to be remembered. Moment by moment, surrendering the past, surrendering the whole story, every element of identity, surrender, returning to the eternal peace and harmony. Step by step, allowing the grace of God to transform what is offered. And as the step-by-step journey unfolds, putting the future into the hands of God, truly releasing the future from the past, gladly accepting every new moment as the light of God's existence. Accepting the unfolding of the beautiful journey of life. And breathing deeply and fully into the heart, as if each breath were the first. Letting prayer be in each breath. Allowing the light of God to be within each breath. Inviting the yes of an open heart to be within each breath. Filling the heart with happiness to be breathing in the light of love. Breathing deeply into the heart, affirming the willingness to no longer defend the heart, to no longer defend the past, to no longer defend perceptions, to no longer defend an identity, but happily, with joy, surrendering and accepting that to be undefended is to be free. To be undefended is to live. To be undefended is to accept peace and harmony, always as the full existence. Breathing, surrendering the body identity into the hands of God. All that you thought you were has been surrounded in being a body, in the willingness to go beyond the body and embrace the spirit as your true self, eternal, perfect light. One heart, infinitely the light of God. Nothing to get, nothing is missing, but deep acceptance. And affirming in this perfect moment that here in the infinite circle of love we are one, open to this divine union that completely eliminates the body, happily eliminating a temporary form and accepting that infinite union of love, affirming in this moment that this sanctuary is filled with love, because love is all that exists. Affirming that this universe is all of love, only love exists. There is only one presence here, the life force of God. Open to this life force and you will recognize the holy union of love. Within this life force we live and move and breathe as one. Gladly expanding, happily extending the heart. Gratefully receiving the divine light that sparks the remembrance. And breathing, allowing, trusting, beyond comprehension, trusting in the light of love, in every sacred teaching, and no longer willing to trust the mind's wanderings of perceived knowing, willing. Show me the way. Show me the way. Show me the way. Prayer holds the power of God and transmits the remembering into your heart and mind. Prayer is the place of communion and union where you express your heart and remember through the holy words of truth what you truly want and your invitation for the divine alchemy of love to have its way with you. The power of the rose is the power of the heart, is the power of our love that comes from our mother. The power of the rose, of the heart of each of us, on the breast of all of us, to love one another. In the heart of each of us, there is one rose, to love our brothers and our sisters. The power of the rose comes from universal love, is the love and tenderness towards our brothers and our sisters. Brothers and sisters, let's open our rose. Let's join our hands. Let's love one another. The love of the rose is the love of brotherhood, is the justice and love, joy and charity, the blissful love that springs from the heart is opening our rose to love our brothers and our sisters. It is essential in the journey of love to extend that love to every beloved without conditions, without looking at evidence, without hesitation, without distrust, but trusting. It is the opening of the rose within the heart to let go of all judgment, to let go of all concepts of knowing, and to accept that every beloved is the Christ, completely, wholly, nothing to get at all, only love to offer. And as you offer that love, the divine alchemy of love itself transforms the heart, and the rose within the heart opens to its true nature, open, complete love, the power of the rose. Elevate elevate the choice, elevate my awareness into the truth of love and into God in all things, in every creation. Elevate my awareness so that I can remember the brilliance, the complete brilliance of all creation. The brilliance of all creation is a light that shines always within the heart, lighting up the heart, opening the heart to the truth of love, and invigorating the mind into the truth of God. Wanting the mind to be cleansed of all past ideas, of all ideas of separation, of all ideas of knowing anything, and opening to the light of God. Here I am called to sing. It is what I am asked to do in every moment within the heart, singing from the heart, hailing and affirming with great gratitude all divine beings for serving love's remembering, and accepting the help of all divine beings in every moment. Yes. Elevei o pensamento a Deus lá nas alturas para reconhecer o brilho da formosura, o brilho da formosura e uma luz de alento que limpa meu coração e vigora meu pensamento. Aqui eu vou cantando que minha lida essa, viva Rei Juramidam e a rainha da floresta. Light and joy and peace in the healed mind, in the truth of love, the willingness to surrender, available in every moment. Listen to this music. I am a hole in a flute that the Christ's breath moves through. Listen to this music. I am the concert from the movement of every creature singing in myriad clouds. And every dancer, their foot, I know and lift. And every brush and hand, well, that is me too, who caresses any canvas or cheek. How did I become all these things and beyond all these things? It was my destiny, as it is yours. My poems are about our glorious journey. We are a hole in a flute, a moment in space that the Christ body can move through and sway. All forms in an exquisite dance as the wind in the forest. This is the journey of love. To truly want to be the hole in the flute. The purpose of remembering that you are only the hole in the flute, is to break down this false concept of an individual importance. In the world of separation, the constant temptation is to battle with two sides of the same coin. Schizophrenic in its intention. It evokes craziness. The two sides of the coin are constant battleground of believing that there is a battle between proving your worth and declaring your grandiosity. Neither are true. You are the light of God. But the light of God is not filled with grandiosity. There is no grandiosity in the totality of union, of love. Within the world, there is so much pain and suffering within the belief that you have to prove your worth. It's not true. There's nothing to prove. But it is such a strong call from the past. And you have believed that you have had so much evidence to prove that you're right, that it seems foolish to accept that you are the hole in the flute, and that the Christ's breath, the Christ, the holiness, the light, the love, moves through in perfect harmony, in perfect dance with everything. It does not depend on being a body at all. It's to go beyond this old, tired identity and to let love have its way with you. To let this beautiful music of love burst through your heart and fill the universe. That is the power that is waiting to be recognized within you. This is the journey of love. I am the concert from the movement of every creature singing in myriad clouds. When your mind is occupied with its smallness, with its what about me, it believes it is separate from all of the singing, all of the dancing in the universe, all of love, where you truly belong. Can you still chop wood and carry water? In love. It's actually the only way that you can truly chop wood and carry water. The rest is a battleground. When love is offered, God is present, and God is all that there is. Your awareness is all that separates from the truth. The truth is always living. The truth is always present. It's only the awareness of what you think you know that gets in the way of that divine movement of love and of being imbibed and living in that divine movement. Always available. Always. Every dancer, their foot, I know and know it. And every brush and hand, well, that is me too, who caresses any canvas or cheek. There is nothing missing when you open and allow the healing, which is so simple. The ego would love to make everything as complicated as possible, but it's very simple. I don't know it. Lead the way. Lead me, show me. I don't know anything. And in that divine yes, love enters and meets you and transforms because you were willing. Now you might say, I was willing this morning. I was willing for about 15 minutes. And then some shiny object took my attention. And I forgot to come back to the willingness. Why is it that willingness seems so trite? It seems so non-essential. Oh yeah, that willingness. But willingness is your choice of joining with God in one element of love. I am willing to see this situation differently. I'm willing. It's not, I'm going to figure out what this means. I'm not going to figure out what I should know. I'm just willing to see it differently. And in that power of that willingness, there is a transformation and a miracle that is called upon to transform your awareness in that moment. What does that willingness actually, what is the power of the willingness? The power of the willingness is the power of choice that you don't know. The power of choosing to be shown and the willingness to be shown the truth rather than what you know. And it brings you into this divine place of humility that frightens the ego, but then everything does. That's of truth. The willingness not to be right about what you think you know allows the miracle, the transformation to enter and move your awareness out of lies into truth. That power is within you, within your willingness. I am willing to see this differently. I am willing to be shown a new way. I am willing to elevate my mind. I am willing to open my heart. I am willing to be mistaken about what I thought I knew. I'm willing to surrender every situation, every relationship. I'm willing to give that relationship into the hands of God for transformation. I'm willing, because that is the power of my transformation. How did I become all these things and beyond all things? It was my destiny, as it is yours. It is your destiny. It is absolutely your destiny to melt into the exquisite fabric of creation, to open the doors and to have the doors open to the truth of divine existence. There is nothing that stops you from remembering the truth of love except a refusal. The refusal always disguises itself as fear, always disguises itself as habit, always disguises itself as knowing. But nothing can stop you from your destiny except to keep saying no. And then in that you will only delay it. You won't actually hurt anything other than you'll stay miserable. It isn't God's will for you to be miserable. It isn't God's will for you to suffer. But it's making that extraordinary connection that the pain and the suffering is coming from the mind, not from outside. And that is where your healing is. That you can change your mind. That you can willingly surrender what you think you know. And let God lead. Let the divine have its way with you. Happily. Trusting deeply that you are in the hands of God. That you are blessed. That you are loved. That you are love itself. That all of creation wants to serve you, and you're remembering. And the only thing that stands in the way is your no. Through the I know. We are a hole in the flute. A moment in space. This is beyond comprehension. This is why the mind that belongs to the ego cannot help you. It cannot discern, figure out, make sense, understand. It's not possible for the mind that is insane to assist in its own demise. It's not that stupid. It has a survival instinct. And that survival instinct is based on I know. And yet, you are a moment in space. Don't try to figure that out. You are the eternal, the infinite light of God. Nothing will ever change that. But it's opening to it so that you can live there. And happiness is waiting. Freedom. To walk in lightness, free of this perceived burden of self-attack and self-identification. Is it a leap of faith? Absolutely. Absolutely it is. Will the ego try to convince you that it's crazy to let go of what you know and follow? The ego will try to convince you that, come on, you know better than this, you're not a puppet. Well, the upside downness is that while you are listening to the voice of insanity, you are a puppet. That is being a puppet. There is not an element of being a puppet in the light of God. In the light of God, you are creator with God. You are free. You move. You have no restrictions. You have no limitation. You have no time to depend on. You have no rules that restrict and condemn and kill. You live in light. There's no puppet there. There is only a puppet in the imprisonment of your own making, where you believe the voice of the past, the evidence of the past that says, move this way, get this, do this, win this, convince this. There's no love there. And you are that love. And this is the opportunity. This is the lifetime where you have come to that deep realization that you want to remember, that you want to love and learn to. We are a hole in the flute, a moment in space that the Christ body can move through and sway. All forms in an exquisite dance as the wind in a forest. Freedom. Stepping out of the perceived concepts of identification. And the willingness to question, if I'm not this, what am I? If I'm not this body, this identity, this concept of self, what am I? And the willingness to begin really being shown, to really begin to open to that beautiful vision through willingness. That's it, willingness. The willingness to be silent, to not listen to the chatter of the mind from the past, but to trust the heart and being in silence within, peace flowing. You will hear Spirit talking to you in the language of your heart. That is where you will hear Spirit speaking to you. in that quiet heart space where inspiration blossoms. The power of the rose in the heart of each of us is the call to the Divine Mother and Father. And the learning to love one another truly is the journey. Because no one can remember the truth of love without remembering it in everyone. There's no possibility. Every time that there is a temptation to get something from somebody else, through friendships, through acquaintances, through situations, it doesn't matter what it is, there's nothing to get. And that is the great addiction that the ego counts on, that you will stay with. That addiction of trying to prove and get. And you can't hear the Spirit of love. You will hear the Spirit of love talking to you in the vibration of your heart. That is your divine communion. That is what is there waiting. To recognize the divine communion of creation and open to this divine creation. That is where you truly live, completely. The symbol of the body is the ego's strongest evidence of separation. Because everything that you want to get, everything that you believe is missing is based on being a body. There is nothing that you're looking for that doesn't involve the body. Everything. That includes the emotional body, the misperception, the confusion that you need to be emotionally satisfied from something in the world is giving your allegiance to the body and believing that you are the body and that will give you what you're looking for, when it is not what you are looking for. You are looking for the truth of God within you. You are looking for the truth of your oneness with God that you have forgotten. You will not be emotionally satisfied ever from the world. You can seek, but you will not find. You may get a hint of a temporary high that you mistakenly think is emotional satisfaction. It isn't. You've been looking in the wrong direction, seeking outside for what is within. You are the light of God, whole and complete. The body can bring you neither peace or turmoil. You would think that the body is bringing you turmoil, but it isn't. The mind, the belief of separation, is evoking the belief of turmoil, of conflict, of lack of love. There is no lack of love. But the body can bring you neither. It will not bring you peace. It's not possible. Through trying to get for the body, emotionally or physically, there will be no peace that comes. There will be a temporary satisfaction of getting. And it will fade, it will go away as quickly as it came. Neither it cannot bring you joy, it cannot bring you pain. That is all coming from the beliefs of separation. The belief of separation is actively producing pain. It demonstrates itself many times through the body, but it is not coming from the body. It is coming from the belief of separation from God. And it can't bring you joy. The body does not have the capacity to do anything. It's all coming from the beliefs. And you are the decider, the free-willed choice of choosing love, of choosing to relinquish the body into the hands of God and to no longer give it your loyalty that it will bring you anything. It can't bring you pain or joy or a means. It is only a means to something from the body. It is not an end. It will not bring you what you're truly looking for. It has no purpose of itself. No purpose of itself. Only what is given to it becomes its purpose. When you surrender the body identity into the hands of God, you begin the road to freedom. To no longer be in the belief of being a separate identity. You become much more clearly, you begin the journey to become that hole in the flute that allows the Christ's breath to move. The ego would say, well, that's not enough of a role for me, thanks very much, to be the hole in the flute. I had much grander aspirations in waking up. I wanted to become the big kahuna. But happily, everyone who wakes up realizes that they are only the hole in the flute, and all temptations are dissolved of identity, of the need to prove, of the need to get. Peace is all that there is. Joy and harmony. The miracle of love that is in your willingness is a correction. Don't be afraid of correction, or you will be running in the wrong direction. Correction is a blessing. Correction is what you've been on this journey for. That you want to be corrected is to accept a miracle. That's what transformation is. You've been in a misdirection and you are redirected. That is correction. Your awareness is corrected into sanity from insanity. Being so happy to be corrected is essential to make the journey a happy journey. To stop resisting and being afraid of love's transformation. Love isn't going to leave you without. That's not the intention, that's your intention. That's your concept that you'll be left without. That's the perception of seeing the world through an ego identity, the belief of scarcity, the belief of judgment, the belief of condemnation, the belief of tricking others, manipulating, whatever it is, that's all made up. There's nothing in love that wants you to be without. But it can't align with the concept of getting the temporary fixes. Love can't join you in that. That would be unloving. For love to join you in you trying to get temporary fixes through the world and through others. It's not possible. Every day is the blessed event of newness. This is a day of God. Is your heart lightened, happy because it is a day of God, because you recognize it as a day of God, of devotion? But imagine that you're not waking up in the morning with your own agenda, with your own knowing of how things you want them to be, how you think they should go, what they should do, what you should get, what you should accomplish. All of that. Instead, this is a day of God. I will do nothing on my own today. I will do nothing on my own today because I want my will to be God's will. I willingly surrender my will to God's will. Show me the way. The power of love will show you the way. It's guaranteed. Absolutely. Are you available is the question. Are you available to trust that love will lead you? That love will show you the way in every moment. And that you want love to show you the way. The willingness to see with honesty what you're making up when you're in your own mind. To be honest with yourself. To no longer want to fool yourself into thinking that your ideas are valid. That your separate ideas of what you think you know and what you process as your conclusions have meaning, other than the meaning of separation. Show me the way. Let me be the hole in the flute. Guide me, because I want to be guided. I want to hear. You will hear Spirit talking to you in the language of your heart. Just resting in God and trusting that your life can be healed, and that there is joy, and that there is harmony and peace here, now, and that heaven is here. Stop. Every moment, stop. Instead of going forward, thinking you know, just stop. Embrace calmness. Embrace peace in the moment. Breathing and inviting. Wow, I thought I knew something a minute ago. I can come back to this calm place and trust that love is wanting to lead me. But it takes a stopping to stop. Shifting direction. Where was I? Was I on my own, having plans, moving forward, planning the day, thinking time was real, thinking I knew? Stop. Embrace calmness. Allow. Pray in the moment. And in the silence, the divine presence of God will join with you. You'll become aware of the divine presence of God. God is not trying to stay separate from you. God is not hiding. God is not playing cat and mouse. The ego plays cat and mouse. Love does not. Does it mean that the habit of what you think you know of the everyday life is being called to be stopped? Yes, of course. There is no bargain of I'll keep my life as it is and truly surrender. Thank God your life isn't going to stay the same as it is. That would be ridiculous. But the mind is saying, I want my control. I want my knowing. But this is the leap of faith. That God would not leave you without everything of love that is essential. Nothing is ever missing in love. To dance and to enter with every dancer and to dance the journey of love is what is the truth for you. You are settling for this little tiny concept of self. Your divine worth is the worth of the universe. Not having to settle ever. You believe you settle because you see the world through scarcity, because you see the world through limitation, because you believe in your own perceptions, and you have said to yourself, I have to settle. There's no settling in love. It's everything. It's just letting go of what's nothing, that you have made into something that doesn't really exist. Accepting. Everyone has exerted great effort to preserve what you have made in illusion. Most of the time, not even consciously, mostly unconsciously, just out of habit, out of knowing. That's why the letting go of knowing is so essential. Because it's all that knowing, the rules of the world, the rules of your life, all the habits that have been built in to make a concept of yourself that isn't true, is being called to be surrendered, so that the truth of you can be met. You're going to meet your true self. You're going to meet your true self that you've been unconsciously avoiding, believing that what was underneath was loathing and sin. It's not true. Just to accept that it's a lie is your leap of faith. If God is telling you, I'm telling you, as the light of God, that you are the light of God, that you've done nothing, that you can't do anything to change the truth of who you are. But to accept this is to accept it for everyone. Everyone has done nothing and can do nothing to change the truth of the light. So every thought that comes up of the past, of wrongdoings, of the concepts of attack, of the concepts of vengeance, of the concepts of grievances, of the belief that you harmed or that you were harmed, all of it is being called to be surrendered. To truly surrender it from the depths of your heart and the willingness to be free of all false identities, the willingness to trust that only love is real. The power of the rose is the power of the heart. The truth of each divine being. Let's open our hearts. Let's invite that rose to open and to trust that the only thing that stands in the way of that freedom is what you think you know. It is not a call for you to turn on yourself. This is not about self-attack. This is about the recognition that everything that you have known of the past was built of separation, and that you want to open to the divine wisdom of love that is waiting to be met. The divine intelligence of the universe that you aren't privy to while you think you know and you believe that you are separate and temporary. The willingness to shed the skin of separation, to shed this false identity of limitation. It is a big leap. Yes, it is. And there is a strong, strong temptation to live as you have lived in the past. That strong temptation is what the ego counts on. The temptation to prove your worth in the world is like an addiction of heroin. It draws you, it pulls you, you want it. Yeah, I can just prove one more thing. I'll just make this identity better, and then I'll give myself to God. I just have to prove, my worth. You will never prove your worth in a world of illusion because it has no validity. When you pass out of the body, when you leave the body, do you want to continue proving in another body? Or do you want to say, I'm ready, let this body fall away and let this love shine? I'm ready. And yes, there is a death. There is an ego death. And it can feel like death because you're so identified with a separate self that it feels like your own self is being dismantled. It's not who you really are. It's a false self that's melting. And then you begin to imbibe that you are the hole in the flute. The hole in the flute that the Christ's breath moves through. And you gladly sing. You gladly become that flute. And you gladly become the dancer. And you gladly become the movement of love, where all of creation is singing. And you are that creation. And you can't distinguish anymore between all creation and what you thought was you. The beautiful heart opens and love sings. And the power of the rose blooms with all that love. This is the journey of love. Listen to this music. Let the stillness come. Stop. Embrace calmness. And let, in prayer, the silence open to the divine. Go into the closet with God. And sing. Sing with God. Elevate my awareness to God in the highest. Let prayer be your day. This is a day of God. Let prayer fill your day. Quietly. Paying attention about the willingness, moment to moment. Show me the way. I'm willing. I follow. I sing. And the I disappears. And the I am that emerges. All. In that love, in the miracle that is taken on faith, and it is faith to accept the miracle, there is no room for anything but joy and gratitude. If you are not in joy and gratitude, you're believing in something that has no reality. It's very simple. Let the heart have its way. Let the heart bloom. Invite and extend that love unconditionally, having no needs to get anything outside, but just to recognize God is here. The friend lives here. In that exquisite rose.